But what I want you to do in this moment, I'm going to give you a second of quiet time. I want you to think of the barrier that you're facing. And I'm going to have a moment of vulnerability with you and tell you a little bit about my story while you're thinking about your barrier. I grew up a pastor's kid. I know, shock. Now I'm on stage. Probably explains a lot to you who've known some of my personality. And by the way, I fulfilled the definition of pastor's kid. I grew up in what I felt to be a glass house. My dad and my mom were in ministry together. They just celebrated 50 years. And through most of that, I was with them going from different churches. He was evangelist at one point in time. The church that he's currently at, he's been there over 20-something years. I've seen a lot through that one. I grew up there. I felt a lot of my calling happen there. But I'll tell you, I didn't want it. I did not want to be here. You asked me when I was a teenager, are you going to be like your dad? Are you going to be a pastor? No. And I'm talking, I would have said it before you could even finish the sentence. But I'm telling you now, because of the things that I lived through, the barriers that were put in place, and this is not for you to feel sorry for me, but this is for you to understand that you're not alone when you go through different things in life. What you saw on TV and in movies about how teenagers treat teenagers in school, I was the one being shoved in the locker. I was the one that got cornered in the hallway because I didn't follow the social status quo of being the jock athlete, chasing every girl that I could try to find. I was the dude who loved to sing. I was also the dude in theater and in choir and in band. So I had like the choir, what how about said trifecta? I can't think of the foreword. The quadfecta? Sure, I'll make it up today. I had all of the things that had everybody looking at me going, you're weird. I was eccentric. I was outspoken. I know, shock. I was the person that got made fun of, and I started to be called certain names. I started to be called certain things, and I'm going, am I? Am I what they're saying? Am I these things? And I started to look at myself differently because of my past. I started to look at myself in a way that wasn't good. And I'll say at the age of 17, I came to a crossroads in high school where I had to make a decision of what I was going to do with my life. Me personally, I didn't see a way out. But God purposefully put himself in the way. Through a lady at my church who comes up to me one Wednesday night. I'd already told her that I had an English paper due. She was an English teacher. And she says, I know you're going to want me to read it. Give it to me now so I can have it to you by the time you need to fix this stuff tonight. I was like, all right, cool. I handed it to her. She comes to me after service that night. I was not having it. I was not in a good mood. I know, teenager in a bad mood? Never. I was ready to throw in the towel. And she looked at me and she goes, Thomas, I just want you to know, I don't know why, but God's telling me to tell you, I love you. I was like, okay. I didn't believe it. But later that night, I had an encounter with God where in my parents' basement, no windows, super dark, I feel like I heard God say, I love you. And in that moment, all of the things that I had in self-doubt were crumpled away. And you can see that in that moment, God met me and had the barrier that when it went into his life-giving water, it went away to where it's not there anymore. As much as I want to reach back in and pull out the things of the society that gave me, there's nothing there. It's gone. God called me to be something more.